This video will talk about the planning of loose parts play in early childhood. When planning for children to be involved and engaged in loose parts play, it can be thought about naturally or synthetically. Planning for loose parts play is essential in helping young children generate their imagination and their creativity skills. When children are learning through loose parts play and being given the opportunity to explore, educators need to consider the different possibilities of how the child can learn. Educators can show this when they are thinking about the different types of materials that may benefit the children's play, and also the kind of environment that needs to be considered and set up. When educators are considering the type of setup in the children's learning environment, they can promote children with endless amounts of possibilities that invite that child to use creativity skills. Children can display this type of play by finding a rock, and once they have chosen that rock, they can make this rock become anything they imagine. It is essential for educators to consider imagination, creativity, curiosity, and desire, as these are the main factors which are needed for the motivation of loose parts play. Planning loose parts play for young children is a way to invite them to open-ended learning materials. When young children are being provided with open-ended materials in their learning environments, they are encouraged to problem solve and learn in a child-centered environment. This design for a toddler age group, educators will need to consider the size of the loose parts to ensure these are free from a choking hazard. It is crucial for educators to consider loose parts play as part of their indoor and outdoor learning environments. Research has shown that when loose parts are found in children's outdoor learning environments, they are advancing opportunities for the children to have a child-directed play space. As educators learn to build attachments and provide children with care as they involve themselves in loose parts play, they should remember to start their planning off small. Introducing new materials and too much of something can make young children feel overwhelmed too quickly. Once the children have become used to the original idea and are familiar with the materials around them, this provides the educators with the opportunity to introduce more elements when it is required. As children are being engaged in loose parts materials, the role of the educator is then to help support all children's skill development as they are involved in a self-initiated play experience. For educators to provide children with a great opportunity of asking open-ended questions and being able to monitor observations of the children during play, they should allow for themselves to be placed in a substantial proximity of the children. To build secure and effective connections with the children during loose parts play, educators need to consider and remember the following to follow the children's lead. This includes them not taking over any ideas that the children are creating. As educators are following the lead of children's imaginative play, they are demonstrating to the child that they are trusting their judgment to make their own decisions. When educators are building on their connections and monitoring the child play with open-ended questions, they can create and extend further on that child's ideas later on. Continuing on the children's play will allow for the child to stay engaged in the loose parts play and will provide them with more open-ended ways for play. When children are involved in loose parts play, they are learning to take part in a risk-taking play experience. There has been proven research that when children are being engaged in loose parts play, it is helping to reduce the barriers of risk-taking and also minimizing the negativity towards loose parts play from adults. Educators can be challenging in provoking children with the opportunity for loose parts play as they explore and develop a well-equipped environment and finding the right materials to suit the age of the children. As children start to generate new ideas with loose parts play, educators can find challenges in way they need to keep on extending with that child's play. Educators can face these challenges more quickly when they are taking observations of the child's play and thinking about what they can add to extend their thinking. Educators will find and observe many different ways in how children will think when they play with loose part materials. Children will always explore and find a new approach of how they can use just one loose object to recreate many different things in their play. Loose parts play will provide educators with the challenge of being able to create infinitive opportunities. Providing children with unlimited possibilities will enhance their development with creativity, being able to express themselves and improve their development in play opportunities. It is vital that educators are collaborating with not only other educators in the centre, but with the children's families. When educators are working with other staff and the children's families, it will enhance a higher quality program with planning and developing meaningful learning experiences for the children. When a child is being involved in their learning through play, the educator is consulting that child in specific ways that are meaningful to that child. Educators engaging children in their education will involve the educators to allow for great opportunities for the child to express their feelings and ideas, and will show that their thoughts are mattered as the educator listens and responds. When educators actively involve children and their families in their learning, they can allow the children and families to be active participants with the planning and creating an authentic learning program for their child. Families can be involved by communicating with the educators their child's current interests and also resourcing loose parts play with loose materials they have around their homes. Learning environments are a starting point for educators to promote and provide young children with sufficient attachment, play, and care. The learning environment is a way for educators to utilize this space as a way of planning events and the surroundings in shaping who we are. Introducing and allowing for young children to be involved in loose parts play in their day will provide that child with stimuli for play, discovery, and investigation. When learning environments are being set up to invite that child to make them feel a sense of belonging, this is also promoting an environment for diverse learners to help them feel inclusive in their setting. By helping to promote a safe and welcoming environment for all children, it is essential to know that children's interests and what they like to do. Loose parts play can be crucial and be provided for all children's interests to make them feel welcome in their learning environment. Rich learning environments for children will help encourage children to learn through play with a variety of materials and a variety of learning opportunities. Rich learning environments will promote all children to be responsive and provoke thinking skills throughout their play experience. Although a child's learning environment is vital for their developmental skills, the nature of children's environment will also need to be considered. Loose parts can help educators promote a social environment for children that involves strong social interactions between children as they learn to collaborate with one another and allow for different perspectives as they interact. Loose parts play is not only a way to provide children with open-ended learning experiences, but it also creates an environment for them to extend further with thinking skills and allow for further knowledge they receive and interact with their peers. Loose parts play is and will always be an ongoing process in children's play. It is something that can still be extended and always provide new and different materials for children to explore. When loose parts are contained in children's learning environments, it is learned that they are not just for one area. Those materials can be carried out to other learning areas where this will create whole new thinking of the child's play. For example, the child may use loose natural resources in home corner for cooking, but then use these materials that can be carried over to a construction area where the child can utilize the same materials in another new context. Thank you for listening.